Whoa, here yo! I'm dropping my drinks in. Slippery sons of sailors, son. So that's Horatio with the gnome and Opal Group in the Coyote Skull set. And this is the Rose Garden with the blue mescaline cactus, the San Pedro grown 3-node buttons, and got some large points in there for its mulch, and the rest of its quartz chips and clear variety, and that's the bull rose, as I call them. It's a brush rose. It's a big briar gargantuan rose, and the dyes remain the same. I guess I haven't been rolling the snake as much as I should. I think that's a 4 and that's a 3. I guess it's a 4 and a 3 set. Hareshimo Sansan, Carlson Sansan, Daniel Sansan, Waxon Sansan, and I still have the carrot. The parrot died like 2 weeks ago, and setting down the cam at the bar here so we can. I got spirits today. There were two packs for $6 at the local smoke shop over there. So Jose Cuervo Silver and the OG Rockstar Shooter 12 ounce. So I'm gonna crack. I'm gonna make sure I got my lighter on me. Yep. Crack these open and slog them. It's the Andy C. New London, New England radio show, just 15 minutes further from the 15-minute trek at Fort Trumbull Nuclear Submarine Parking Spot, United States Navy section of Fort Trumbull State Park, New London County, New London, America? I don't know. Yeah, well, it feels like it now and again, but after being in Hartford slums searching for burgers after the Santana concert, I guess it feels a bit more like America than it has previously. So. Here's the, what do we got? Get off my pants, roses. Let's look that up a bit. Here's me drinking to you, drinking to me, drinking to you, in a sort of never-ending. Me drinking to me. I guess when I watch it later, well, that would put an end to it. Me drinking to me, unless I'm drinking while I'm watching me drinking to me, drinking, drank drunk. Cheers, full salute. It's an hour from Verler, 3 milligrams. No, I don't have mental illness. I've been on script consecutive days, 4,100 and 4,200 now consecutive days. At least one pill every 24 hours. You know how dangerous that is? Sudden death is one of the side effects, as well as heart attacks, strokes, seizures, loss of senses, irritable bowels, impotence, and more. So you go from, the worst side effect, sudden death, to man's greatest fear, impotence, and you'll see everything in between. So it's made it man's greatest fear was woman, and then we have a long philosophy that before it, so, or childhood, I guess. So. They're turquoise spirits. So. I like dark blue, personally. Actually, I like ceremonial purple. It's my favorite. I never stocked it. It has it in 11 years. It's like the store owner stocks ceremonial purple like as much as company policy will allow, and then he just buys all the cartons and smokes them as much as he can. You know, throws the rest in a freaking hearth. That's it when he's finished, and smudges the environment with it. Damn featherhead. He's an Indian. He's an Indian. Yeah, but he's from India. He's an Indian. And in India, Indian. Yeah, but yeah, well, he's somewhat of a featherhead in the eyes that see, you know, him selling me the tobacco. Yeah. Oh no, it's not just the trading posts where they're, you know, brownies pushing khaki on the locals. As far as in my eyes, in my mind, man, in his mind, an imagination, man says. You know, after you smoke so much, after you shop at the same place, you smoke 65,000 single servings of spirits. I was trying to get into banter about that a few whiles back. No, he's an Indian from India, but he's like, you know, well, he'd be like my best friend if he wasn't like 10 years older than me. Pretty much, because I've seen him 5 minutes a day, every day for 4,000 days straight. Pretty much. You know, best estimate. You know, it's not. I'm not too far off. You know. There was that, and then there's the guy that's about my age. He might be, you know, one or two, you know, a handful of years older than me. So this one's it's Vinny Muhammad, and then the boss, the store owner, right? Instead of the regular, mostly the salesman that's been selling the most of those is he'd name himself after a deity of the Indian Hindi religions. Like this year he's Vishnu, this year he's freaking Ganesh, this year he's Shiva, and he'll perform the sacrament of each after renaming himself after this deity each year. So in my mind, man, in his mind, he lights himself on fire at the end of the fiscal Indian year because he's a store owner making big money. After he names himself Shema, he performs immolation at the gas station stand, you know. And while Muhammad's on a hunger strike, trying to be more like the Gandhi instead of his Middle Eastern background, you know. Oh, he had it all together in this big story that was like, you know, because I've been visiting him every day, and the most that could come out was something like that I Sharona song, yeah, and something with some Donkey Kong, and all I could do was laugh and giggle about it with all sorts of horrendous nightmares. Or not even horrendous nightmares, but like recurring daydreams. You go to the same spot, it was like stir crazy, man. I tell you what, so. He comes out wearing nothing but a necktie, you know, not even, no pants. He's got like a necktie and flip-flops on. He's like, what, it's casual Friday. He doesn't sound like that, no. And then the Donkey Kong song plays in my head because I got the N64 Super Smash. Do, 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 do. And what's his face says, hey, you're the boss. You go back in the back room. So, and he comes out and he's like, do, 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 I'm Muhammad. You know, they got like their theme songs and things. So, what do you mean there's no imagination land with Tacky? There is no imagination land with Tacky. Or in his mind, man. In his mind. In your mind, man. There's no imagination land. Why not? I had 3,500 Red Bulls for Imagination Land. I had 65,000 freaking single American spirits for Imagination Land. Why can't I Imagination Land the people that push the junk on me? Yeah. Well, if they'd blown up the gas station in the jihad, I'd be in a similar Imagination Land, except stuck with morphine on a freaking ICU bed, and I wouldn't even know it if it hadn't been 11 years now. It'd been 11 minutes so far. They blew up that gas station when, you know, and you're just dreaming on high on opiates, medical grade, because they went ahead and Al Jazeera this with the Al Qaeda's that, and no, come on. I like my imagination, man. Don't push that shit on me. What are we gonna do with this crowd? Said Horatio. Opal grouping, almost had his way with the words. No, they're piping out lines. It's like I'm reading a script out of my blind Aryan eye. not even blind. They just change color so much, and then they float to the sides of my face, and it's like I see in the night vision set. You never heard of that? You never heard of the submariner night vision? You never heard of the non-Germanic indigenous Swiss? You know, there's the European Aryans. You know that were like corralled. You know, for the Third Reich regime of Hitler back in, you know, between the very latest 20, I guess, 29 and 49, 1900 stuff. You never heard of that? It's only the up-to-date, most recent videos, isn't it? For the likes and the polls and the runtime and the big months. You know, if I didn't put money into it, I'm not going to get money out of it. So it's that. I don't know if the difference. I got like 5 different iris color, and I got like 6 different iris color and 5 different hair color. My great grandmother was non-Germanic indigenous Swiss. When you want to say that the Aryans were invented by the Nazi Third Reich regime, and it's just a figment of Hitler's imagination later, I believe you. Doubtful, said. Would rather, no. And same with the Nords. You can't find any information on the World Wide Webs around here about the people that come from the North Pole. It says, well, they mostly live in Scandinavia, and anything else is just Hitler's imagination land. It was pushed all over the world by the Third Reich. I doubt it, no. I doubt it. No, I'm 38% Nordic as far as race, 12.5% Aryan as far as race. I don't believe in any kind of Nazi anything. I don't believe in any kind of... Japan was a iffy story. It's almost like they mindless rice people, you know, as far as kamikaze Pearl Harbor. But we made peace, you know, a long time ago, or should I say a long time ago. So, or at least the ramen noodles and Nintendo made peace in America. I don't know about Japan itself, but I think there was some kind of conspiracy connection between the bombs on Japan and the immediate of the Holocaust from European Germany. So. No, I knew a guy. I grew with a guy for 13 years. Gramps. He was at the surrender of Japan. He rode a submarine from New London to China, witnessed the surrender of Japan, and then was on that same submarine back to New London. So. And then I grew with a gal. I knew a gal for 18 years. My great grandmother. She was captured. She was born. She lived with Albert Hofmann, the Swiss chemist, for almost 30 years. He went off and got a job at Sandoz. She got captured by the Nazis at about the same time. So she was rescued and brought to America and lived in Manhattan for 50 years. He lived a life as a million billionaire, but in America's eyes, it should say America's eyes, you know. He was considered something like the pinpoint start big bang of domestic terrorism as LSD-25 swept the nation through the Grateful Dead cults. Mass distribution of narcotics with an undercover with their cover, their ploy is supposedly a rock band. Is what they were thinking. You know, that's what they were thinking. Free your mind, but it's really poison that just makes you hallucinate. So you do nothing but make money for Uncle Sam is one idea. Or you're flopping around in some kind of comatose state, living 100 years in 5 minutes before you die, and you never know. So. Now I got a piece of both of these in me, you know. The whole Japanese thing on the Western world. If you're looking in America's in the center, you've got the East, which is Germany, and you've got the West, which is Hawaii, that goes over to Japan and China. So. And of course I was there. It's not like I'm 20 years old, you know, I'm 30. I was at State Street when I saw the news on TV. I was a Manhattan responder in 2004, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Half a decade worth of putting my time into emergency services, local in the tri-town, or the county-ish. And then, you know, my away was New York City. So, until a 2-week stint in close to usurped Iran and under Moscow, so, in Russia. So, it was 2007. Iran called it Iran. Russia called it Russia. I said I'm going to Russia. Isn't that really Iran? Come on, you an allied powers or what? With this whole Manhattans and the bombing the Pentagon and so on. I was putting body pieces back together, and I was arresting suspected terrorists. They were coming through Route 1, and I was the ages 13 through 18. And then I got a hand injury, and it started with the meds. It's similar to Roman from Chicago PD. You could say it's got a similar patch you up with band-aids best we can, get you into some neurosurgery, but after 6 weeks, you might want to pick a script. If not, you could just die, randomly. Just because, it's experimental, brand new medical technologies. I mean, the script is experimental, brand new-ish. I mean, it's been developed. It's not as risky as more and more surgery. It's not as risky. You immediately save your life, but then for brain repair, we don't want to put you under for. Yeah, and I don't know too much about that. That was 11 years ago. I'm almost off the script. I go down from 3s to 1s in about 15 days, and then I get 3 months where I don't need the pill. It's the sweat, and then on month 4, which I think is this January, might be this February, I'll finally have no meds in my bloodstream or in my system whatsoever. It'll have made the repairs that were needed from the head trauma, and won't be in my system whatsoever as long as I don't eat it anymore. Because one dose will stay in your system for 3 months, and I've eaten one dose every 24 hours for 4,000 days, over 4,000 days, 4,100 days, at least one every 24 hours. For a couple of years, it was one every 12 hours, with a 30 milligram injected once a week. So I didn't just catch sudden death from the head trauma of years ago, or weeks ago, or months ago, depending on which point in the spectrum we pick, and then work backwards to the summer 2008. So. Yeah, it was meds. They were dangerous meds, though. I'm almost done with that. Hey, you know what I'm doing? I'm hoping to walk down to the New London City ghetto in South Crystal. I got like freaking 5 pounds of big fatty points in there. Yeah, $40 for 5 pounds. It's like $10 a pound, but less, You sell it $1 an ounce, it's $15. That's $16 a pound. So you could potentially make, at least if you were selling it by the pound, it's $15 a pound. You can make $5 a pound if you bought 5 pounds for $40. You sell it by the ounce or by the carat, you're making it rich. And if you make some heady wraps out of it and then sell the stone by the carat, you're doing it right. $25, $250 for a wrap, for a wrap. Speaking of rap, what do we got for the songs? You want to do a Dire Wolf again, or you want to do a Mom Inglewood set? It's a 25-minute set out at the bar, so I did the selfie inside. It's just the shoot in the breeze. So. Well, flip a coin under the 3-cup trick. And roll some die on the side for snakes. That's where the money is. This is it, Speaking of money, I got the kickbacks, in the house still. There's still, all those quarts, ounces I bagged out. I put 2 bills and 20 coins on each of them. I'm out of ducats except for one Jerry, so. I say essay a lot. I say some weird Native American words sometimes, like kind of like wampum, National Native American tongue, land before USA sort of thing. And I say soot a lot because I was practicing riflery with someone that had been a rifleman, a sniper in World War II, and he stayed a rifleman, sniper all throughout, and he still might be alive today. And I'd always call him Sooty. So I say soot quite often, as if I'm looking and then looking back, and it's like dealing with trauma through mantra sort of deal. I had too much peyote soup out of a turtle shell, and it may have been turtle soup with peyote or peyote soup with turtle, one or the other. I was a honkin'. I lived with a Native American medicine woman for 16 years. She was born in 1898. I lived with her from 1990 to 2006, but with Sooty it was from 1990 to 2008 doing the riflery, and I got 3 basic patches in riflery through the NRA, and then all the way down to expert marksman. I don't remember the next 2, but the first one was light rifle, and I'm able to vouch for myself for that consciously. Light rifle, expert marksman, yeah. Then I got basic, and worked both of those 2 down to expert marksman as well. So, and then besides that, after that, I was invited to Iraq and Afghanistan to go hunt sand people as a sniper in the Army Rangers. I declined, and I decided to put in my application to the Navy for submarine everything. Since the age of 4, with grants still, I was doing submarine from 94 to 2003. He was my tutor, my main focus, whenever I was under his wing, was submarines. And an essay would refer to the time I spent with Jerry Garcia, said 1990 to 1995. We played guitar, learned music theory, and besides that, I was just learning speech and how to use my digits correctly, and walking and talking, and the whole diaper potty training thing. He passed away in '95, and I spent time with a buddy from New Riders of the Purple Sage, twice as much, as well as, or maybe half, times 0.5 as much, as well as Melvin from Jerry Garcia Band. Up until the bombs in 2001, things get a little bit blurry until 2003, and then I'm focused mostly on emergency services. I pick up the tour again in 2004, last until still just yesterday. I went to Santana in Hartford, and I saw the Carlos Santana that played with the Jimi Hendrix. You never heard of Jimi Hendrix? You never heard of Jimi. And then when one random lucky bro, one child crying, dumping my trash in your backyard. Na 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 na, it isn't so hard. That's not Jimi Hendrix. That's Built to Last. That's my favorite album besides In the Dark. So, Brent Midland held me in his arms when I was a baby in 19th, just out the hospital, and they did not, I know they were doing shows, but then when they stopped the shows, when they stopped to wake up to find out 329.90 Nassau Coliseum Uniondale, New York show, in the following couple days or following 2-3 weeks, I was ready enough to be taken, out of the hospital in my first rows, and says, so one person and Brent Midland holds me and says, I'm going to father you with this tribe. And they give me the Keelan, and I spend time with her because she's 3 years older, so maybe less. And besides that, I says, you never heard of Jimi Hendrix? And they says, well, my baby's never heard of Jimi Hendrix. What's Jimi Hendrix got to do with Hendrix? He played the meanest Star Spangled Banner next to Carlos Santana of Woodstock, New York State, 1969. So the Grateful Dead became a thing and traveled from 65 Southwest California all the way up to the Northeast USA. Oh, New England, and they ate clam chowder in America. America. Do do do. Riding in the wind. Do 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 do. Riding in the wind. Little angel from heaven yesterday. She stayed long enough for afternoon tea. And then she said, we'll take anything you'd like from me. But you're riding on my wings. Do 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 do. Yeah, well, that's pretty much Jimi Hendrix. That was Jimi Hendrix. That's my favorite Jimi Hendrix song. But he's known for the Star Spangled Banner national anthem, USA's national anthem. and it was politicians was this. This is a disgrace, and says McGungans. That was one of the chants from Medicine Woman. So 2000, between McGungans was it the Phantom Menace release in 1999. We watched it in theaters. We watched it before it went in theaters over internet piracy set. And or maybe big buku bucks on the internet. So we'll get it before it's at theaters. We'll pay. She got the cash. She got the cash from being a figurehead for the indigenous Lenape race, and she bowed Mohegan tribe. But in 1996, they got their own sovereign nation up in Connecticut, seceded from the United States of America to stick up for this endangered human race that broke off in the tribes for their own political reasons. They says, well, some of the Native Americans says, well, the Europeans are here. The Europeans are here, and Mohegan said, great, let's make peace with them. And they said, the European says, did you hear what Jesus did to us, man? They said, oh no, not really. And we're Christian now, I guess, and things like that, and blend in. Says the Pequots, on the other hand, says, well, let's go to war. Let's go to war. And then the president later on says all indigenous must move west because Jesus told us to come here, and it's written in the Bible, biblical scripture. It says. Speaking of, there's a different fight these days. This is the Sand people. This says, well, Muhammad told us to. It's written in the Quran, similar to the Europeans. And let's hope the presidents don't go along with that, in some years and years, and push everyone that was here to the west to make room for the Middle East. I think that was in progress, during the. I'm gonna button my traps. Button your lip, and don't let your pills slip. You can hide behind bleeding smile eyes, or something similar. So pill slip. Yeah, no, they have before. I'm not buzzing on a rock star. I didn't even finish the drink. I mean, it's kind of a medium for the script. It's a heavy sedative, antipsychotic. I don't have any psychosis, and I don't have any reasons, to be sedated these days. Originally, I was bodybuilding, training for the service, the military service, while I was doing civil service. I was junior Navy, junior Coast Guard, Red Cross, BSA, Explorer, PD, Medic, and Fire in county, and taking trips to Manhattan. At the same time, I was doing high school, and I was doing private tutors for submarines, and I was going on the Grateful Dead tour, and I even did a little amusement park